Okay, I wanted to read a book on video. I wanted to read this specific book, Kateryna by Taras Shevchenko, which is a poem, but it's an amazing poem, and it's beautifully translated into English. A little background, Taras Shevchenko is probably the most famous Ukrainian author and poet in the world. This particular book version was translated by John Weir, I believe. Yep. It's very well done, and it's very beautifully illustrated. So I just wanted to share that, keeping myself busy. Hopefully it'll be entertaining for you as well. So, let's get started. This is the front cover. It's beautiful. Kateryna. Now there are two words in this book, Muscovite and Moscow land. This just refers to Russians and Russia. So, this is the first page. O brown-eyed maidens, fall in love, but not with Muscovites, for Muscovites are foreign folk. They do not treat you right. A Muscovite will love for sport, and laughing go away. He'll go back to his Moscow land, and leave the maid a prey. To her grief and shame it could be borne, were she alone, but scorn is also heaped upon her mother frail and old. The heart in languishing can sing, for it knows how to wait, but this the people do not see, a strumpet they will say. O lovely maidens, fall in love, but not with Muscovites, for Muscovites are foreign folk, they leave you in a plight. Young Kateryna did not heed her parents' warning words. She fell in love with all her heart, forgetting all the world. The orchard was their trysting place. She went there in the night to meet her handsome Muscovite, and thus she ruined her life. Her anxious mother called and called her daughter home in vain. There where her lover she caressed, the whole night she remained. Thus many nights she kissed her love, with passion strong and true. The village gossips meanwhile hissed, a girl of ill repute. I think that's our Muscovite. Let people talk, let gossips prate, she does not even hear. She is in love, that's all she cares, not seeing disaster near. Bad tidings came of strife with Turks, the bugles blew one morn. Her Muscovite went off to war, and our Kateryna stayed at home. A kerchief o'er her braids they placed, to show she's not a maid, but Kateryna does not mind, her lover she awaits. He promised her that he'd return if he was left alive, that he'd come back after the war, and then she'd be his wife. An army bride, a Muscovite, herself her ills forgot, and if in meantime people prate, well, let the people talk. She does not worry, not one bit. The reason that she weeps is that the girls at sundown sing without her on the streets. No, Kateryna does not fret, and yet her eyelids swell, and she at midnight goes to fetch the water from the well, so that she won't by foes be seen, when to the well she comes and stands, beneath the guelder rose tree. She sings such mournful songs, such songs of misery and grief, the rose itself must weep. Then she comes home content that she by neighbors was not seen. Just another, the Muscovite. And Kateryna once more. Next page. Little bum next to the cherry tree. No, Kateryna does not fret, she's carefree as can be. With her new kerchief on her head, she looks out on the street. So at the window day by day 6 months she sat in vain, with sickness then was overcome, her body racked with pain. Her illness very grievous proved, she barely breathed for days. When it was over, by the stove, she rocked her tiny babe. The gossips' tongues now got free rein, the other mothers jibed, that soldiers marching home again at her house spent the night. Oh, you have reared a daughter fair, and not alone beside the stove she sits, commands she there her little Muscovite. She found herself a brown-eyed son, you must have taught her how. Oh, fie on ye, ye prattle tongues, I hope yourselves you'll feel some day such pains as she who bore a son that you should jeer. O Kateryna, my poor dear, how cruel a fate is thine, where with a fatherless young child a haven will you find? Who'll ask you in and welcome you, no husband at your side? Your parents now are strangers too, it's hard with them to bide. I believe that's a sucker, and I believe it's a symbol of, or the emblem of the Russian Empire. I'll have to look it up, but that's what I believe what it is. Now Kateryna's well again out on the street. She gazes through the window pane while rocks her babe to sleep. She looks in vain as days pass by. Will it then never be? She'd to the orchard go to cry if people didn't see. At sunset Kateryna goes to their old trysting spots, her baby cuddled in her arms, and whispers as she walks, I waited here for him to come, and here we stood and spoke, while here, oh here, my son, and then her voice is choked. When in the orchard cherry trees were green with leaves again, as always to the trysting place our Kateryna came. But now her heart's no longer light, and now she sings no more, as waiting for her Muscovite she did the spring before. Now Kateryna does not sing, but curses her sad fate. Ill-wishers in the meantime give free rein to spite and hate, cooking up nasty things. What can she undertake? Her lover'd put a stop to this, but he is far away. He does not know that heartless folk harass his promised bride. He does not see, he does not know how Kateryna cries. I believe this is Kateryna crying, with the old women gossips spinning lies. Beautifully illustrated. Red eyes, crying, angry face. Little baby crying with a cherry and a toy soldier. Perhaps her lover's lying dead beyond the Danube wide, or maybe back in Moscow land he has another bride. No, he's not killed, he is alive, it can't be otherwise. And where another could he find with such lovely face and eyes? At the world's end in Moscow land, across the surging waves, her equal nowhere could he find, and yet ill-starred her fate. Her mother gave her a fair face and fine brown eyes bestowed, yet how to give her happiness her mother did not know. But beauty without fortune is a flower in the grass, seared by the sun, bent by the winds, and plucked by those who pass. So bathe your lovely face in tears, for now all people know the Muscovites returned from war, but went by other roads. And that's the end of chapter 1. I think I will continue this tomorrow or over the weekend. Hope you liked it, and see you later.